have the room ready. And today is final paint day. This room is going to be finished today. Fingers crossed.
Welcome to the Rundown Reborn channel.
It's been a long time coming. 3 years ago I started this room. It was the first room I worked in. And today, it's coming to a closure. First I gotta go upstairs.
There it is. This is the paint that I use to paint the ceilings in my front room. And that is the paint I'm going to use for my ceiling in the dining room. Part of the reason I want to use this old paint is using this same color on the ceilings in this area and in the kitchen. It's going to provide some color continuity between the living room where I've already painted on through this main living space. So I want that color to just kind of carry on through, tie the rooms together, and provide a total sense of continuity or unity throughout that space. Now, it's been a couple years since I've used this, and so therefore I'm sure it's separated. I'm going to have to mix it, but I've got a tool for that. Here's what I've got, and my old trusty drill. These things are pretty effective, but you've got to have a drill that they'll fit in. There it is. Hopefully this one works. It's got a bigger chuck, so it should fit. Oh yeah, we're good there. I don't think I've ever opened the lid on this one. This color is a neutral white, but it's got a bit of a grayish tint to it. Now this is a flat finish, so that's a good choice for ceilings, as a flat is not going to reflect quite as much sheen from the lights, especially uplights like I've got in the chandelier. So with that said, it's going to allow a little bit more depth to the visual perception of the room. And without any shine, your eyes have a tendency to not be able to focus quite as well on the ceiling, and that can give a little bit more visual height. Let's give this a mix. I've got quite a bit more than I thought here, probably about 4 gallons left. I think we're there. I think we've got milkshake now. Now that I'm mixed up, I kind of need to decide what I want to use for brushes. I've got this really nice 2.5 inch clear cut edge brush. It's an angle cut. I'm going to save that for the walls. That's when I'm going to do my actual true line cut. I've got these are discount brushes. It's an angle brush, which is nice, but they're really cheap. Nothing fancy, maybe get 2 uses out of them, but I think I'll use this to do the edge of the ceiling. I only really need to cut around the trims of the ceiling above, because at the walls I can overpaint and cut it in later with the wall paint. Now I'm going to try to pour some paint without spilling it all over the place. It's a heavy bucket. Well, mission accomplished. I spilled it. I spilled it good. Oh well. Now we've got a white spot in the middle of the room. That worked better. Now you know, lift and pour, don't tilt and pour. Got a little damp towel to clean up if I need it. And we'll go ahead and get this going. I'm so pumped. Paint day. This is awesome. As I said, I don't really have to be very careful here. Just, I don't want too much on the wall. The more paint I get on the wall, the more there is to dry. So make sure I don't overpaint the walls, but get enough on the ceiling that I don't have to come back and edge it again. Reason I'm edging it is I'm planning to roll the ceiling surface, and you want to edge it first so that your roller won't touch the walls and leave spots and make a mess. I don't really have the option of spraying this house. I mean, if you were doing a whole house and you weren't living in it, a sprayer would definitely be the way to go. But I'm doing it a room at a time, and I've got furniture in this house, and the overspray is just not something I want to deal with. I don't want to mask everything off, so I just spend a little extra time and do it by hand. And I don't have a paint sprayer, so don't need to buy one either. I'm going to buy a lot of brushes for the cost of the paint sprayer. There we go. I have made it around the room once. Only took about 15-20 minutes. Not very long at all. Start working on this perimeter of this trim. Here I've got to be pretty careful. I need to really cut this in nice. This is a finish line. So I'm just going to take it nice and slow and work that paint right up against that trim that I painted earlier. And then it'll be ready to go ahead and roll. And I'm in the homeward stretch here on this perimeter here. And this paint, it's really starting to show itself. You're getting that gray contrast now. As it dries, it darkens a little bit. When it goes on, it's pretty white. But as I give it time to dry, that gray's starting to show through. And I'm getting that contrast I was wanting. I want a good contrast between the trim and the ceiling. So I want these trims that I spent so much energy on to really pop off the wall. I want it to have a more three-dimensional appearance and give just overall more depth to the room. I'm not a big fan of just flat walls, generic, flat, minimal walls. I like a little detail. I like it to kind of show off a little bit. Alright, I've got my roller here. Really cheap, basic roller. I don't get too fancy with those. I'm not too worried about the actual roller finish up there. Just as long as it's a good even coat, should look fine. Should be probably more than enough. Now, I'm not going to use a stick or an extension pole for this ceiling. I'm just going to keep it on a short leash here. Get this thing ready to go. Prime this roller up. Oh yeah. I'm getting pumped. I can't wait to get this up there.
This is going to get really interesting.
I'm heading to the paint store. Well, the home store, the paint department. I don't have this paint on hand. I wasn't really sure what color I was going to do, and I still don't know exactly which color. I know which color, I just don't know the shade. So I want to go look at paint chips and bring the chips that I have for the colors I've already selected and take a look at things and get a gallon of this paint, and we're going to do that ceiling next. I'm going kind of bold on this. I'm not really sure if this is going to work out as I think it's going to, but I figured I owed it to myself to do something interesting. But it needs to make sense. It needs to work for the house, and I think I've got the right color. I never really mind a trip to the home store, except when it's busy. And you end up getting stuck in lines. It's hard to find a good parking spot. I didn't do too bad on a parking spot. This one will work. Let's go see what they got. So what I have here is a piece of my siding, and what I want to do is find a color match for that, but in a much lighter shade. The idea being, I want to bring a continuity from my siding outside in the porch, and as you walk through the door, you're going to notice the ceiling right as you enter. And so I want to echo that color scheme that I have outside on the inside, but not overwhelm that room. So I'm looking for a really subtle tint that's going to be in the same family as this piece of siding right here. I think I found the right color. I think this one right here is going to be the right match. So now that I have a good color match with this one right here, what I want to go is quite a bit lighter, but still hold on to that same color tint. And I think if I get a light enough color that's going to match the contrast between the trim color of the whites, I just need to look at that, how that looks against the whites I'm already using. Do I just go a shade darker with that winter chill, or do I stick with a really light gray glimpse? I think I'll go a little bolder. I think I'll go with that winter chill, that second shade darker, and I think that's just going to pop and give that ceiling some really good character. A gallon of that, I'm going to go with a satin finish. Just something that has a little bit of sheen to it, get a little bit of reflectivity of that uplight in the dining room, and I think we'll be good to go. That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Appreciate it. And a free stir stick.
Yeah.
Can't have enough of those. I hope I made the right choice. I hope this looks good. But living on the edge, it's what we're all about. Get this stuff up there. Let's see if I made the right call. working on a ceiling for 4 or 5 hours makes your neck tired. That is one tired neck. I better go wash a brush. All right, let's get this back in there. My ceiling's pretty much dried up, so I can get these lights reset. Turn those back on so we can see what I'm doing. The day is moving forward on me. Well, let's talk turkey. You all came to find out what I am planning for my final color, so let me explain. Well, a couple videos ago, we played around with the color. I had asked you all to let me know if you had any suggestions, and you all gave me a few. And I thought some of those colors were very interesting. They looked very good. They were bold, that's for sure. But, you know, I read all your comments, and one of them stood out to me that I think might have been thinking on the same wavelength as me. Her name was Heather Ann. She initially said a moss green, but later on she wrote something else. And she wrote, "The ceiling and the gas stove wall are so beautiful. I personally wouldn't use a color for the walls that is so bold that it dwarfs the simple but true craftsmanship of the features you have spent so much time creating. And lastly, you have the same fine details in the next room that is connected openly by the giant opening, creating more of an open floor plan. So before picking the final colors, consider the craftsmanship of the connecting rooms and how fluid it will be or won't be with statement wall colors." So I thought that was kind of interesting because she's thinking a bit like an architect. She's onto something there. I spent so much time working out these details, the details of the windows, the trims, the moldings, and I went with a very bold, bright white on those. So, you know, looking at those images that we did in those earlier videos with some of those bright colors, they are very bold, but I felt that they kind of take away from what we're really trying to do with this house, and that is give it its own character, its own unique aesthetic. This room faces east. It gets absolutely beautiful morning light in this room. It's bright. It fills and floods the room. I get a little bit of light through the door behind me as well as through the kitchen window. So what I did was I picked out this color. Let me show you. And there it is. It's a white. Now before you click out and say, "Oh man, I'm so disappointed," here's the chip. It's called a wispy, what is it? A wispy white. Now, it's a Valspar chip and it's a Valspar paint. Basic paint, nothing's fancy. It's a middle premium grade, not the top of the line, but I figure I'm gonna do 2 coats anyway. Now the reason I went with this milkshake white is it's just about 1 or 2 shades slightly dimmer and warmer than the trims I did. Now, the idea is that with all that natural light, you've got these trims that have these layers, this buildup, a lot of 3-dimensional elements to those. I want the light to play off of the walls. I want this room to be bright. When you get up in the morning, come out of the master bedroom, I want this room to wake you up. And when you come in through the front door, right here behind me, and enter this house as a guest or as a resident, I want you to just feel welcomed. I don't want the color to punch you in the face. I want it to be neutral. I want you to come in and just enjoy the light, enjoy the depth of all of those trims. When you walk in, you're gonna look up, you're gonna see that ceiling, you're gonna see that chandelier, you're gonna see all of that detail. And if you put a powerful color up against that, it's gonna overwhelm. And so you're gonna start to just key in on that color instead of the true architectural character of the space. It's really about making sure that the light can reflect and create that shadow play on those surfaces, on those moldings, on those trims, on the door recesses. All of that comes into play. It creates drama. And I think it's gonna come out really, really aesthetically cool. So I'm gonna get busy on cutting this paint in. I'm gonna start working around all the trims. I've got a lot of brush work to do. It's probably gonna take me into sunset. And then before I go to bed, I'm gonna roll this paint out. Now I'm not really gonna film this. I'm going to just do it, and then I'm gonna go to bed. And then tomorrow morning, I'm gonna get the camera out, and I'm gonna show you what I mean.
Well, I finally finished that room. It was probably about 11 o'clock when I finally finished it. And I like how it turned out. It looks really good. I've got it all prepped, and as promised, I'll take you on in to see it. See what you think. Let me know in the comments. Did I pick the right colors? I think so. Let's go look.
Hope you like it. And I thank you for watching this one. We'll see you in the next one.